Voiceover deep, slow, gripping tone. The world holds its breath. A storm is rising over Jerusalem. The teacher who healed the blind and raised the dead now walks toward his greatest test. Every word, every miracle, every tear has led to this moment. The prophecy is almost complete. The end is near, and yet it's only the beginning. Music swells, soft strings mixed with distant drums. Fade to black. The streets of Jerusalem are crowded, but the air feels heavy. Rumors move faster than the wind, whispers of rebellion, of miracles, of a man called Jesus of Nazareth. Some call him a prophet, others a threat. But he walks calmly through the noise, as if already knowing what's about to happen. Visuals: Jesus walking through narrow streets. Children peeking from behind doors, Roman soldiers watching closely. For 3 years, he spoke words that shook hearts and broke chains. He called fishermen to be leaders, sinners to be saints, and the hopeless to believe again. But now, the time for words is ending. The final chapter has begun. Cut to disciples talking anxiously. His followers can feel it. Something is changing, something deep and unspoken. They see the sadness in his eyes, the calm before a coming storm. He no longer talks about the kingdom as a faraway dream. He says it is near, and they don't understand what that means. Not yet. Sound distant thunder roll. The camera pans upward to a darkening sky. Every prophecy spoken for centuries, from Isaiah to Daniel, points to this week. The Lamb will be led to the slaughter. The chosen one will suffer, not for his sins, but for the world's. And still, he walks forward, one step at a time, toward destiny. Visual: Jesus kneels in prayer on a hill overlooking the city. The wind catches his robe. He doesn't run from fate. He welcomes it. He knows the road ahead is pain, betrayal, and death, but beyond it lies hope for every soul. The weight of the world rests on his shoulders, yet his heart remains steady. For love, he will not turn away. Music grows emotional, soft violin joined by faint choir. This is not the beginning of his fall. It is the rise of salvation. The last days have begun, and nothing will ever be the same again. Cut to black, title card flickers faintly. The Chosen, Season 6. Voiceover.com. Reflective. Before the shadows came, there was light. The days when laughter filled the air and hope walked among men, they followed him not because he was famous, but because he saw them when no one else did. Visuals: flashbacks, fishermen casting nets, children running through dusty roads. A woman wiping tears as Jesus lifts her from the ground. Peter, the fisherman with a fiery heart. Matthew, the tax collector no one wanted near. Mary, broken but brave. Each one changed forever by a single look, single word: follow me. Soft instrumental music builds, a gentle mix of harp and cello. They saw things the world had never seen. Water turning to wine. Eyes once blind, opening to the light. Bread multiplied in his hands until hunger vanished from the crowd. The dead raised, the lost found. Every step felt like heaven touching earth. Flesh cuts, Jesus walking on water, crowd cheering, storm calming with a single command. They believed he was unstoppable, eternal. How could death ever touch the one who gave life itself? They didn't understand the miracles were not for power, but for love. Every healed wound was a whisper of what was coming, a greater healing, not of flesh, but of souls. Scene shifts: Jesus teaching on a hillside. Sunlight wrapping around him like a crown. He spoke of a kingdom not built by swords, but by forgiveness. Of enemies loved, of mercy over judgment. His words burned through the silence of the world, and still, few truly listened. Music grows slightly heavier. A shadow creeps over the light. The crowds began to fade when the truth became hard to hear. Some followed him for bread, but not for the cross. Others wanted a king to overthrow Rome, not a savior to change hearts. Even among his friends, doubt began to grow. Visuals: Judas watching from a distance, expression unreadable, but he kept walking. Through love and hate, through cheers and betrayal, every miracle, every parable, every step all leading toward one unshakable truth. The path of light must pass through darkness. The scene fades, the disciples around a fire. Silent faces lit by the glow. They did not know then what we know now, that every moment with him was a seed of eternity, that the laughter, the tears, the faith, and the fear were all part of the plan. The journey was never about reaching safety. It was about reaching the cross. Music fades into silence. Only the sound of wind over water remains. The days of peace are ending. The shadow of the Last Supper draws near, and soon, the teacher will become the sacrifice. Screen fades to black. Title flickers faintly. The Chosen, Season 6. The Last Days of Jesus. Every story of light casts a shadow, and sometimes the shadow wears a friend's face. Visuals. Judas walking through narrow alleys at night, torchlight flickering on stone walls, his face hidden under a hood. The city sleeps, but his heart is loud, beating with fear, doubt, and guilt. He was chosen, too. He walked with the Son of God, ate with him, laughed with him, prayed beside him. He saw miracles that kings could only dream of. Water turned to wine, storms silenced by a whisper. But in his heart, a storm began to grow. Cut to Judas watching Jesus teach the crowd. He looks calm on the outside, but his eyes are restless, uncertain. He's tired of waiting. He wanted a Messiah who would rise as a warrior, not a servant. A kingdom of thrones, not crosses. He wanted victory now, not love that bleeds. And in that hunger, darkness found its voice. Music. Deep, slow drums, heartbeat-like. Visual. A dark, cloaked figure steps from the shadows. A pouch of silver appears. The light catches the coins for a moment before disappearing into Judas's trembling hands. 30 pieces of silver. The price of a slave. The cost of betrayal. But no coin can pay for the weight that follows. Cut Judas standing alone in silence, staring at his hands now empty but stained in memory. In the stillness of the night, even the stars turned away. The air was heavy with sorrow, as if creation itself knew what was about to happen. Flashback. Jesus smiling at Judas, handing him bread at the table, a gesture of love so simple, yet so final. He looked into the eyes of the man who would betray him, and still he called him friend. No anger, no curse, just love. Love that knew it would be broken. Music swells slightly, violins rising softly like a plea. Betrayal does not always come from enemies. Sometimes it walks beside you, holding your hand, whispering your name. Judas didn't just betray a man, he betrayed hope itself. And yet, even then, forgiveness waited in the dark. Scene slows, Judas walking away under the moonlight. A soft rain begins to fall. Each drop sounds like a heartbeat fading away. As he vanishes into the night, the first piece of the prophecy falls into place. The chain has begun to move. What was once friendship has become the doorway to the cross. Music fades to silence. A soft whisper is heard, Jesus' voice, echoing faintly through the darkness. Jesus echoing, "What you are about to do, do it quickly." Black screen. The faint shimmer of silver coins rolling into darkness. Then the title flickers softly. The Chosen, Season 6. Sound. Soft crackle of firelight. Gentle clinking of clay cups. Outside, thunder murmurs far away. Inside, silence breathes between friends. Closing parenthesis voiceover soft. Reflective. Night falls over Jerusalem. The streets grow quiet, but inside an upper room, eternity is taking its final breath before the storm. Visuals. A wooden table lit by oil lamps. Shadows dance on the walls. 13 men sit close, weary, silent, unsure. They've walked miles together, through laughter, hunger, fear, and faith. But tonight feels different. The air is heavy. The teacher's eyes hold both love and farewell. Cut to Jesus breaking bread. The sound is clear, slow, almost sacred. He lifts the bread, his hands trembling not with fear, but with compassion. "Take and eat," he says, "for this is my body." Simple words, but each syllable carries the weight of the world. Visuals. Close-up of disciples' faces, confusion, sadness, awe. Peter's eyes glisten with unshed tears. John leans closer, searching for answers that will never be spoken. They do not understand. How could they? The man who raised the dead now speaks of his own death. The one who calmed the storm now whispers of a coming one that no man can stop. Soft violin begins, slow and emotional. Like a prayer, he pours the wine deep red, like the dawn that's about to break. "This is my blood," he says, poured out for many. In that moment, love is rewritten. It is no longer just kindness or comfort. It is sacrifice. Cut to slow motion. The disciples drink, their hands shaking. The cup passes to Judas. The camera lingers. Even the one who will betray him receives the cup. No hate, no anger, only mercy. For love, true love, never chooses who deserves it. Music swells with faint choir harmonies. The night grows colder. Outside, the wind howls like a warning. Inside, time stands still. Around this table sits the birth of salvation and the end of innocence. Visuals. Jesus washing his disciples' feet. The camera follows the water dripping from his hands to the floor. The king kneels before his servants. The Creator bows to the created. The Son of God becomes a servant of men. In every drop of water, the world learns what love truly means. The sound fades, only the wind remains. Jesus looks toward the door, his eyes calm yet sorrowful. Soon the garden will echo with footsteps and betrayal. Voiceover quiet, haunting. The night has a strange stillness, as if the world knows what's about to happen. In the Garden of Gethsemane, the Son of God kneels, and heaven weeps with him. Visuals. Jesus alone, hands pressed to the earth, whispering in prayer. The wind carries his voice through the trees. "Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me." His voice trembles, not in fear, but in love. The kind of love that accepts pain so others can live free. Camera pans, shadows of the disciples sleeping nearby. Unaware that history is turning just a few steps away, while the world dreams, salvation is being born in sweat and sorrow. His tears fall like rain, not from weakness, but from the weight of what must be done. Music. Deep cello hum, low and slow. In the distance, faint metallic clinks, armor, weapons, footsteps. And then, it begins. The sound of soldiers in the dark. Torches pierce the night. Betrayal walks beside them, cloaked in regret. Cut to Judas leading the Roman guards, his face pale in torchlight. His hand shakes as he steps closer. He approaches, heart pounding like thunder in his chest. One kiss, that's all it takes. The sign of peace turned into the mark of betrayal, close up. Judas kisses Jesus on the cheek. The moment freezes, everything goes silent. And still, he calls him friend. No anger, no defense. Just surrender. For he was never captured, he gave himself willingly. The soldiers seize Jesus. The disciples shout, chaos erupts. A sword flashes Peter's strike, a guard's cry. Blood on the ground. But even in the middle of panic, he heals the wounded man, the last miracle before the cross. The Son of God, surrounded by enemies, uses his final act of freedom to show mercy. Music swells, a mix of choir and drums as rain begins to fall. The night explodes with shouting, metal, and tears. Torches flicker as they drag him away. The garden, once a place of prayer, becomes the gate of agony. Visuals. Jesus looking back one last time, his eyes meet Peter's. The world slows down for a heartbeat. The shepherd is taken. And the flock scatters. Fear wins for a moment, but only a moment. Thunder cracks. Lightning flashes illuminating Jesus being led through the olive grove. Bound yet peaceful, in that darkness, love does not die. It simply goes where light has never been. Music fades, replaced by soft rain and a heartbeat sound that slowly slows to silence. The night of shadows has begun, and with it, the light of salvation starts to burn. Screen fades to black. Text appears in gold. The Chosen, Season 6. A whisper echoes. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Voiceover somber. Steady. The night has ended, but the darkness remains. The teacher stands bound before the powerful, the innocent accused, the truth on trial. Visuals. Jesus standing before the high priest, his robe torn, his face bruised yet calm. The room flickers with torchlight and fury. They search for lies but find none. They twist his words, but truth will not bend. Each question thrown like a stone, yet he stands unshaken. Music, deep, slow piano, almost like a heartbeat. Are you the Son of God? They demand. He looks up, eyes steady, filled with peace, and says, I am. A sudden pause. The air cracks like lightning. The priests shout, robes tear, rage fills the hall. To them, it's blasphemy. To heaven, it's destiny. In that single moment, prophecy unfolds, the Lamb of God condemned by those he came to save. Visuals, soldiers push him through narrow hallways, his shadow stretching long across the stone floor. Outside, the crowd grows louder. By morning, he is brought before Pilate, a ruler torn between politics and truth. I find no fault in this man, Pilate says. But the crowd's roar drowns his conscience. Justice bends beneath the weight of fear. Sound, chanting grows, crucify him, crucify him. Echoing like thunder in the streets, voices that once shouted Hosanna now cry for his death. The same hands that waved palm branches now demand nails. Cut to Pilate washing his hands in water, eyes heavy with guilt. He washes his hands, but not his heart. No water on earth can cleanse the choice he just made. Music shifts low, sorrowful strings blending with faint wind. Through it all, he remains silent. No defense, no anger, no plea. For the innocent does not need to prove truth. He is the truth. Visuals. Close-up of Jesus' face, blood on his brow, eyes calm like still water. The silence is deafening. It speaks louder than any word, stronger than any sword. His quiet says what the world could never understand, that love does not need to win the argument. It only needs to endure the cross, cut a crown of thorns lowered onto his head. Soldiers mock and laugh. He does not flinch. They mock a king and crown him with pain, but they do not know this crown will one day shine brighter than gold. Music swells. Soft choir rises behind the voice. As he walks out to face the crowd, the sky begins to dim. Heaven watches, angels hold their breath. The trial of truth has ended, and the sentence of love begins. Visual. Jesus led away, the crowd roaring behind him. Dust rises. The camera pulls upward, a long shot of the city, drowned in noise and sorrow. The world has judged its Savior. And in that silence, salvation has begun to speak. Fade to black. Title fades in slowly. The Chosen, Season 6. The Last Days of Jesus. A faint echo of Pilate's voice drifts away. What is truth? Voiceover deep, trembling, reverent. And so, the road ends here. On a hill called Golgotha, the teacher, the healer, the Son of God, nailed between thieves, crowned with thorns, bleeding beneath a sky that cannot bear to watch. Music, slow strings rise, mournful, aching. The sound of hammers echoes, each strike heavier than the last. Every blow, every nail, is not just pain, it is purpose. The cross, meant for shame, becomes his throne of mercy. Visuals. Mary, weeping at the foot of the cross. John holding her shoulders. The crowd looks on. Soldiers casting lots. Priests watching from afar. Around him, the world mocks. If you are the Son of God, come down and save yourself. But he came not to escape death. He came to embrace it. A cut, a drop of blood hits the ground. The earth trembles faintly. Clouds roll dark across the sky. The earth shakes. The temple quakes. Heaven itself holds its breath. Every sin, every sorrow, every broken heart, he carries them all. Close up. Jesus' eyes look toward heaven, filled not with despair, but love. "Father, forgive them," he whispers, "for they know not what they do." Forgiveness spoken not after pain, but in the middle of it, music swells. A slow choir begins to hum beneath the voice. His breath grows shallow. The world grows dim. And with his final words, time itself trembles. Jesus' soft, breaking voice, "It is finished." A long silence follows. The screen fades to darkness. The sound of wind dies. Then, a single heartbeat, closing parenthesis voiceover calm, almost whispering. In that moment, love conquered everything. Death thought it had won, but life was only beginning. Visuals. The cross stands alone in the storm. Rain falls. Then, a faint light begins to grow behind the clouds. The veil tears. The tomb waits. And somewhere in the silence, the stone begins to tremble. Music shifts. The sorrow turns to a faint rising hope. Light breaks over the horizon. The king who died will rise again. The story that began in a manger ends in an empty grave. Fade in text, The Chosen Season 6, 2026. The Last Days of Jesus, voiceover final line. Powerful and hopeful. This is not the end. It's the dawn of forever. Music swells, full choir, strings, and light. The screen fades to pure white.